Yeah, now when it comes to energy prices, they keep telling us that they're going to keep doing the same thing. That is billions of dollars being invested in renewable energy, and they're trying to tell us that's going to lead to a different outcome. We saw in that Energy Council report that's not true. Prices are going to continue to go up. Don't they need to change their attack on energy so they can try and force energy prices down? Because they flow right throughout the economy, don't they?
They do, and that's very clear in the CPI prices. You've got to be careful. You've got to listen closely to Jim Chalmers. He's saying in the medium term, prices will come down. Well, when is the medium term? It's clearly not. In fact, some commentators are saying it will be a decade. Now, I don't know about you, but medium term seems to me maybe 18 months. But here's another thing to think about, Chris. If you look around the world and you look at countries with high percentages of renewable energy, they have high electricity prices. How are we going to be different?
Yeah, it's impossible to be different. It is interesting, isn't it? Yeah, 10 years apparently is too long to wait for nuclear power, but it's not too long to wait for power prices to go down. Hey, I want to get your thoughts also on another issue that you wrote about in The Australian today, and you've been insightful on this for years, and that is the population debate, the immigration debate. And it is very complex because so many factors feed into that net overseas migration figure. But you point out that the coalition actually had a pretty good plan on population that they took to the last election. It's just they didn't tell anybody about it. They didn't want to debate about it.
Look, they had a really, I think, comprehensive plan. And, you know, one of the best things about it was that they want to impose this 25% cap on international students. Now, some universities, including the University of Sydney, for example, have more than 50% of the enrolments as international students. So 25% cap, I think that is very saleable. They wanted to reduce the permanent intake. You know, there still was going to be quite a lot of immigration. It's just that if you look at the surveys, Chris, it's absolutely clear everyone, and that includes migrants themselves, think that the rate of immigration, the migrant intake, has been too high. They've got to get out and sell it because I think they really had a very saleable policy.
Now, just to clarify that, you're saying the rule would be that universities could only have 25% of their students being overseas fee-paying students. And at the moment, as you say, some are over half. Also, when it comes to the effect on the economy, we all know that governments love to bring in high numbers because it pushes up the GDP and they can say we're not in recession. But you go to this point that the per capita GDP is what matters. The per capita recession that we've been in and out of, on and off for the last few years is what matters, right? And that's what we feel in our household budgets.
Of course. And, you know, I think you've got to get out and make that point. That is the lived experience of people. They've faced declining living standards, which is, you know, proxied by declining per capita income, per capita GDP. And I think the thing about that is that, you know, the government, Tony Burke, I think, has already revealed this. I mean, I don't think the government is committed to reducing immigration, by the way. They like the fact that GDP, gross GDP increases and tax receipts increase. They actually kind of like the fact that you know, it's sort of slightly open borders, and that tends to be favoured by the left, actually. So, you know, Tony Burke will also quote kind of figures. Well, you know, I'd fight back with figures because I think no one's saying we need zero immigration. We're just saying we need slower immigration.
Yeah, spot on. Thanks for joining us, Judith. Appreciate it. Judith Sloan there, the contributing
Pleasure, Chris.
economics editor at the Australian newspaper.